You know, as we're doing these interviews, we have actually been making paper airplanes this entire time. I kid you not. So.
My name is Tara Hitchcock. I'm from Phoenix, and I am 5 minutes from where you grew up, Steven.
I'm 49th Street and near Osborne.
Wow. Oh, trust me, I've been by your home. Not that I'm a stalker in any way, shape, or form. Steven, obviously, I want to start with you. Your parents introduced you to this when you were in Phoenix. I know your father was very curious what spin you'd put on a classic he loved so much. I know he never got to see the finished product, but what do you think he would have enjoyed the most in light of the spins you gave this classic?
I think what my dad would have liked the most had he been able to see the film, because he knew the 61 movie very well. And he also had seen a number of productions of West Side Story. And I think what he would have liked is the youthfulness of the cast, that these kids do look like they're kids. They do not look like grown-ups playing kids. And matter of fact, the average age of our cast is 22 years old. And so we really went for very, very young people. I think that's the first thing he would have probably noticed. And the second thing he probably would have said to me was that because I know my dad so well, he probably would have said that he liked the fact that the number cool comes before the rumble, not after the rumble. And I think my dad would have noticed something like that.
And between Tony and Riff, which I thought was just brilliant. I thought that was wonderful. Rachel, they're going to wrap me, but I have to get one question.
Sorry, Tara, that's all the time we've got.
Oh, no, go one more. Go ahead.
One more quickly. I've been watching a lot of interviews with Stephen Sondheim, and Patti LuPone did a great interview where she said his music's so wonderful because it's so actable. And I was curious what song you got to sing that you enjoyed the most because it showcased your acting.
Oh my goodness. I mean, A Boy Like That I Have a Love it's one of the most incredible songs, I think, in musical theater history. I've never not loved that song. Getting to do that in his presence while he was with us is an honor I will never forget. And he really does. He writes he spoke to us very briefly about it, but he said, I like to write music about feelings that are just so great you have to sing. And the fact that A Boy Like That opens with a slap in the face is proof that he did just that. So, may his memory be a blessing. It was definitely a blessing to have him on earth.
100%. I can't wait to see what you do next. Mr. Spielberg, thank you. This is just an honor. And thanks for giving me the time. The people behind the scenes are probably like, get rid of her now. So
thank you, Tara.
We're fellow Phoenicians. Come on.
Yes, there you go. I love hearing that you were encouraged to kind of search within yourself, make these iconic classic characters your own. So I'll start with you, Ariana. What's the best example that, oh no, that's Ariana in there in Anita?
Oh, in the film?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so interesting because honestly, as the actor in me is very much like there's separation of church and state. Like Anita is Anita and like I am me. There are moments where I'll see like a mannerism that she uses to express herself. The snapping point was not my idea. It actually was a Steven suggestion. And I was like, and it came very easily to me. And then I realized, oh, it's because I do it. Okay, got it.
David, same question. What's the best example? That's David in Bernardo.
Oof, I think, I'd say maybe like the kitchen scene.
Oh yeah, where you're just like.
Yeah, where I'm just kind of, trying to
get a rise out of me.
Yeah, exactly.
David is trying to get a rise out of Ariana. The same way Bernardo's getting a rise out of Anita.
Yeah, no, I think definitely probably there. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I also have like a nice moment with Maria, and I have a sister who's also named Maria, who's at the same age. So there was like a lot of resemblance there, and it just brought back memories with me and my sister. So I'd say that's like, I was like, yeah, that's a little bit me right there.
Has she seen the film, Your Maria?
No, she hasn't yet. She'll be seeing it soon though.
David, it's interesting. I was listening to the press conference the other day, and you talked about how you were constantly asking yourself, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? When did you finally say to yourself, oh, I'm doing this right?
I don't think that ever came, or I don't think that's ever gonna come. It's just kind of, I just, I did it and it's out for the world now. And I think it's now it's the people's choice to interpret what they want from this character. So it's out of my hands. And that's the thing about film in comparison to theater, is that when you do theater, you finish a show, you go home, and then you think about what you can do better, what lines you can change, and then you go back the next day, you do the show, and then you try and implement those changes. While film, you shoot it the day, and then once you're done, you got to let it go. You got to let it go. There's no changing, there's no turning back. So it's been a learning experience to kind of learn how to let go.
That's, you know what? That's a metaphor for just in general. We all should learn how to let go of things. That's actually a good lesson. Just to know, I have to tell you, there's an Oscar for best use of fabric in a film. It is this movie. And Ariana, especially with America, I love how you can hear those skirts, the heaviness of the fabric when you're twirling them. This might be a really dumb question, but did the skirts ever get caught in anyone, or did you accidentally not lift them the right way as you're doing these elaborate numbers?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I will say our costume designer, Paul Taswell, took great pains to try and, find solutions to make sure that very thing didn't happen. But every once in a while, I think actually maybe during dance at the gym, I got caught in my skirt in the red crinoline, and we were like mid lift, and here I am just hanging on him saying, nope, it's not happening, it's not happening.
And I'm pretty sure it got caught on like some clothes that I was wearing, and the skirt was like lifted up. And I was like, oh funny. God, I gotta be careful here. It was crazy.
But that's a byproduct of partner work and being close and whatnot. But I don't know. I think I agree with you. I think the color and the fabric and those skirts, it tells a story all on its own, right by itself. So here for Paul Taswell.
Yeah, he did an amazing job.
It is really incredible. Again, I can't congratulate you guys enough. I hope to see you both in person one of these days. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I want to start with you, Ansel, if you don't mind. And Mike, I'll ask you the same question. I know you guys were kind of encouraged to make these iconic parts your own. So Ansel, what is the most Ansel thing about Tony?
Tony loves to climb, I think that's why he can't help himself but climb the fire escape. And I love to climb too. I love to climb buildings, love to climb fake plastic rock climbing walls, and also real rocks whenever I see him in Central Park. So I definitely had that most in common with him.
It's an interesting question. I think maybe like the most me thing that I probably brought to this was my mischievousness a little bit. It's kind of like, I like to, kind of mess with people here and there. And there's a little bit of that. Yeah.
Well, you did such a great job. I was reading an interview with Russ Tamblyn, the original Riff, and he said you'll never get over being a Jet. So my question to both of you is, A, is that true? And B, what is that thing about being a Jet that you probably will never get over? Mike, I'll start with you.
As we're doing these interviews, we have actually been making paper airplanes this entire time. I kid you not. So
does that mean we're boring? Are we boring you?
No. On the contrary, it's inspiring.
We're troublemakers, but it's all in ideally it's all in good fun, and it's about a brotherhood. It's about and unfortunately though, in this movie, as they get older, it's like, okay, it's time to stop. It's time to it's time to grow up, and they don't, and they're just causing trouble. And it's like, when you get to a certain age, you got to stop causing trouble, But I mean, I still feel proud to be a Jet. We all got Jets jackets. I always wear it around the city, even though people say, yeah, let's go Jets. And I'm like, this isn't the football team, but
it's interesting, Ansel. I read that you obviously, and I'm sure you weren't the only one that got a little, may or may not have gotten choked up when you found out you got the part. So I'm curious, once you both saw this masterpiece, this finished product on the big screen, is there something that got you more emotional than maybe other parts of the film, even if it was a scene that you weren't necessarily in?
I think probably the scenes that we did get engaged with the movie were scenes that we were not in. Objectively, me personally, there's the scene in the drugstore at the very end with Ariana DeBose and Rita Moreno and the Jets. And I don't want to give anything away, but the line that Ariana delivers at the very end, you know, about her and her views on the American dream, were very impactful and emotional and hard hitting and tough. It was tough to deal with as an audience member.
Yeah, well, initially, when I saw the way that they reimagined America and took it, you know, I want to be in America, and they took it all around the streets of New York, in and out of different locations, that I wanted to jump out of my seat and applaud. And I think that's the hardest I applauded the whole time. So that got me super emotional in a joyful way. And then actually something that really hit me was watching the credits and just seeing how many people were involved in making this movie, and remembering all the amazing people we got to work with. And at the end, it says 15,000 people worked on this movie. And that's like insane and important for us to remember. It's like, we're a part of such an amazing ensemble, both on and off the screen, of like the greatest people that Hollywood has to offer, great people we got to meet and also work with. That actually really jerked a lot of tears out of me when I first saw that.
You know, you go back to the original and there are things that stand out, and maybe people are partial to some things about the original, but there were so many things in this that I thought were brilliant decisions. The non-use of subtitles was one of them. I loved how they did cool with the two of you. Although I've heard Rachel say she was genuinely nervous watching that scene because you guys are stepping over stuff and there's like a hole and you're up high. What was that like for the two of you? It's really kind of an interesting choice to make, but I thought it was so effective.
Well, you know, with this iteration of West Side, Tony and Steven and the entire creative team wanted to go back to the original Broadway order of the songs. And then with Tony Kushner's reimagining of this story and the nuanced layers that they added, continuing to tell the friction between this relationship and using that number, and Justin Peck using his movement to use the movement to tell the story, to like further the story along, and where we go from A to B to C, and that entire arc of this relationship and that number. That was a thrilling thing to be a part of.
No, it was also really cool, like, because we worked on that number a long time. That was like, or at least for me, that was my biggest dance number, or kind of my only one. And it was a great opportunity for like me to feel what it was like to be a Jet, because obviously Tony in most versions never really gets to dance around with the Jets and have that kind of camaraderie. And like the scene always, like the arc of that scene is it kind of like starts where there is a good vibe to it, and like it is friendly and it's playful and it's like the good old days. And then it just like turns sour, and it's like it becomes like actually violent and like it's almost like it's a betrayal. And that, so yeah, it's such a great way that they used that song, and it was so much fun to do that. And then the way that they put it on a pier, I mean, that's so Steven Spielberg, to make it as visually cinematic as possible. This pier that was really a set so that we could jump all around it, jump off the walls, swing on poles. And yeah, it was like really a blast rehearsing that number, building that number. And then we filmed that number early on in the process, and it's a great way to get ourselves going, and we loved it. Yeah.